Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to over a story titled, Am I the a-hole for being upset about my wife not telling me that our joint savings was slowly going down while she had a separate account for the purpose of buying a Hermes handbag? And guys, this story is written by a guy. He is about 48 years old. He's married. His wife is 45. He's married for like 20 some years. And he's going through some hard times because this is during COVID. His business has been ceased operations because of the time of COVID. So this guy, they're struggling financially. So he's had to take a job driving a bus and selling off his own personal belongings to obviously make ends meet and pay the bills. Meanwhile, they have a joint account together, and the numbers have been dropping and dropping and dropping. But meanwhile, he finds out his wife, who does stuff on eBay, her account is just getting bigger and bigger because she's trying to save up for a Hermes handbag. Okay? They're struggling, and yet she's saving her money to buy a stupid handbag. This is the idiocy of how women are when it comes to money. Okay? And I'm doing this article, guys, for many reasons. One, to really emphasize, as I said before, the only reason you should ever have a joint account is if and only if you're married. But if you do, that joint account should be where it's only money set aside for the joint expenses, like the mortgage, the electric bill. You follow me. Meanwhile, you have the husband and wife. The husband's income or paycheck goes into an account under his name and only his name. The wife's paycheck or income from her business goes into her separate account. They're separate. He can't touch hers, she can't touch his, and the joint account is for mutual expenses. And every month, an expense report should be made that each contributes 50-50, something like that. He's not doing that. He puts all his money in a joint account that she can access anytime, but she has her account that she does whatever she wants. So basically, her money's hers, but his money goes to paying all the bills. See how this is completely screwed up and they're in the situation they are? Always the joint account only if you're married, if you get married, and only for the bills. That's it. That way she can't touch your money and you can't touch hers. Another important thing about this video, guys, is how so important it is that a guy has to lay down the law with his wife about spending money and being stupid with it. Because otherwise, as you're going to see in the story, how absolutely idiotic some women can be with money. And the last thing is, my two reasons were, one, laying down the law with her about things with money, and two, obviously, how women are stupid with money, as you're going to see here. But anyhow, I'm going to jump right into it. I'll get more in detail. And believe me, guys, there are some elements to this story that you're going to want to just, if you're watching this on your couch, on your TV, you're going to want to throw the remote at the TV, but don't throw it at me. You can just be annoyed at this guy. So it starts off, he says, I'm 48 years old and my wife is 45. We've been married for 25 years. 3 kids, all educated at private schools, and they're now adults. We live in a nice house in a good area, nice cars, and have enjoyed overseas and local holidays, etc., etc. My wife likes high-end handbags like Louis Vuitton and Hermes. She has a few Louis Vuitton bags. I am generally okay with her hobby as it makes her happy. He says the wife stopped working at age 25 to be a stay-at-home mom, but went back to work for 6 years, but gave it up again to return as a stay-at-home mom role. Translation, she didn't like working. I had run my own business for 20 years, and because of a slowdown in my sector, because of COVID, I have taken a job as a bus driver to make ends meet. I have sold $18,000 worth of guitars to survive the previous 3 months. So, hang on a second here. This guy he's worked in his own business for 20 years, and obviously it's been a huge slowdown in his sector, so he's done what he's had to do to help take care of the family, which as a man I respect. But he's not mentioning anything about his wife getting a job or his wife selling any of her stuff. Why should he have to sell $18,000 worth of his guitars, which I guess was his hobby, and she's not selling anything? There's a big question for you. Not laying down the law, I see. Another question is, if this guy's worked for 20 years in his own business, and they can afford a nice house, and they sent their kids to a private school, all 3 of them, why is it they don't have a bigger savings to tap into so you don't have to sell off your personal assets? And he has to get a job as a bus driver to make ends meet. Why don't they have any more money? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as you're going to see, guess who runs the budget? His wife. I noticed all 3 of the kids went to private school. What's wrong with public school? Why couldn't they go there? Well, obviously they wanted their kids to go to private school. And notice he says big house, nice fancy cars, lots of trips abroad and all that stuff like that. Where's the money for emergency funds? You got to have an emergency fund, guys. It continues. It says, I called the bank to get mortgage relief for the next 3 months, and the same for the credit cards, so we can exist until a new project starts for my business in December. Then we are back in a good situation again. My wife manages the home finances. So he called the bank to get a relief on the mortgage and credit cards. Why are the cards all racked up? Shouldn't you have money aside to make sure you don't rack up credit card debt and pay all this interest and things like that on there? Looks like the wife isn't doing a very good job managing the money. She shouldn't be buying all these Louis Vuitton handbags, and you shouldn't be putting your kids all through private school. I wonder if they finance college or something like that when you don't have enough to take care of yourself for a year or more. You got to sell off stuff. And again, begs the question, why isn't she selling off her handbags? It continues, here's the thing. We've always had joint accounts for mortgage, credit, and savings. That's how we do it. Well, at least I thought so. You see, my wife is a great eBay seller and makes excellent margins of what she sells. This morning we discussed the saving account. It's dropped from $27,000 to $5,000 due to the tougher times resulting from COVID. So, okay, they had some money. But if all your income dries up because of a situation like COVID, this guy obviously wasn't working, and you have several $1,000s of monthly expenses, 27 grand is going to get you very far. And so he was doing what he had to do, which I respect. But where is all it going? He says, I wasn't aware of the drop from about the 10,000 mark because I put together a tough budget that's achievable and thought we were good. I got the surprise of my life this morning when my wife said that the savings account was low, but her eBay sales were good, and she had $3,000 that was going towards her planned Hermes Birkin, around $12,000. So he's busting his butt, doing whatever he can to save money by getting a job as a bus driver. There's nothing wrong with being a bus driver. It's just that he's been in business for himself for 20 years. And going back to work for somebody else, believe me, that's a big blow to the ego. It's not easy. But he's doing what he has to do, and I respect that. And he sold off $18,000 worth of his guitars. But not only is she not selling off some of her handbags to help out, but now she's actually saving money to buy a stupid handbag, a Hermes Birkin, for a $12,000 price when this guy's struggling for the family to survive. Do you see the mentality here? The stupidity with money? He's surviving. He's doing what he has to do. And he trusted her to manage the funds. Well, look what happened. Now maybe he's working because maybe they have big retirement accounts and they don't want to tap into that. Perhaps. It's a possibility. And therefore then they're just using whatever funds they have available. But this goes to show you guys a lot of things here. Don't let the wife manage the money, how women are foolish with money, and also how important it is to have a savings. A big, serious emergency fund that you can tap into in the event of something like this happens. And now she's saving for a stupid handbag? My wife then suggested we go for a walk and grab a coffee. Well, during the walk, I just lost it. After thinking for a few minutes about her lack of communication and common sense, I did blow up and we cut the walk short. Good for you. You had every right to blow up at her. Apparently, I'm the a-hole for losing it. Now I figure I should set up my own account and have my pay sent to this and ask her to pay for half the expenses. Am I the a-hole? Hell no. The only reason you're the a-hole is that you let her manage the money this long. You're the a-hole because while you were working as a bus driver to bring in ends meet and selling off your guitar collection, what was she doing? You're the a-hole for allowing her to keep on doing what she's doing and not sell off her handbags to help you out. That would be a supportive wife. I'm willing to bet you, and probably he wanted to just make her happy. Well, where did that get you? In that sense, you're the a-hole for not laying down the law and not having some common sense about with female nature when it comes to money. And I still have to wonder about the private school for all the kids. Was that her idea? And probably I have to wonder if he's in a big house that's far bigger than what they need. Because usually it's the women that want to have these things to show off to their friends and all. Because remember, women don't have friends. They have rivals. It really is true. I could probably get women on here that don't like to hear me saying that and say I'm just a sexist asshole. But it really is the truth. Maybe on occasion they got a couple girls actually all right. But generally it's a rivalry. Big house, rivalry. Fancy cars, rivalry. My husband makes more money than your husband, rivalry. Membership at the expense of golf club, rivalry. Clothes, vacations, rivalry. See? But no, he's not the a-hole for giving her a hard time about this. But he should have done this a long time ago. He had every right. Because meanwhile, he's working as a bus driver, selling off his prized possession, the guitars. What's she doing? She's actually saving money for a stupid handbag. Again, rivalry. I got this fancy bag and you don't, girls. He has every right to be pissed off. And so yes, this is showing you right there from the get-go, like I said in the beginning of the video, as I've talked before, only if you're married should you have a joint account. If you guys are watching this and you have a girlfriend, a living girlfriend, which I don't recommend, and you think it's a good idea that you have a joint account, no way. Because she could bleed that thing dry. That also goes for credit cards. You have a credit card in your name, she has a credit card in her name. That way she can't screw it up and racking up debts on things that she emotionally needs at the moment to feel better about her life. Or to make her friends jealous. Okay? Are all women stupid with money? No. But it's been my experience that men are far better when it comes to money than women. Because people's buying decisions at the end of the day come down to emotion. They find emotional reason to do it. Guys are much more logic and common sense based, and especially when it comes to purchases. Let's be honest, men are more cheap. Okay, we can live pretty simply, but women, hell no. So, you're married, you have a joint account that you have your account in your name, woman has an account in her name, and you have the joint account that you put money into every month you contribute to pay the mutual expenses. At the end of the day, then your money's yours, her money's hers. But if there's a family emergency like this, you bet your ass you should be contributing to help out. I mean, this is unbelievable. So guys, don't ever fall in this situation here. I know many of you guys watching me say, hell no, you're not getting married one day. Well, you may change your mind. Or you're already married now and maybe things are different. Well, joint account only for the mutual expenses. You have your money, she has her money. I can't stress that enough. Now, I'm going to read a few comments to show you I'm not the only one thinking this. One guy says, it sounds like your wife sees your earnings as household income and her earnings as hers alone. Like a teenager earning pocket money rather than an adult in an equal partnership, you're not the a-hole. Right, because obviously she's been taking money from the joint account that was used for savings and obviously surviving during this time when he's not bringing in the kind of money he's used to. She's been tapping into that, but she's been tapping into her money because that's her money. And by the way, about him saying we're now going to have separate accounts and she's going to contribute to part of the expenses, I'm also going to recommend that once he gets back on track, they both have a much larger emergency fund and start really thinking about what are the necessary expenses. So that way they aren't in a situation like this down the road. I mean, he said flat out, well, once I start working, everything will be great. Well, it wasn't that great if you didn't have that much money set aside that you had no choice but to sell off your guitar collection for 18 grand and get a job as a bus driver. Another guy says the original poster stated in a separate comment that his wife would take money out of the joint account. Oh, listen to this. So this guy commented in the comment section. So the original poster stated in a separate comment that his wife would take money out of the joint account for her eBay side hustle, but then deposit all the money she made off it into her bag savings account. So yes, the OP is 100% not the a-hole here. And no wonder the account has gotten screwed in the budget. Right, she's taking all her profits from eBay sales and putting it aside for her, but she's still taking the money from the joint account for family expenses. Talk about selfish. But at the end of the day, he enabled her behavior. Now listen to this. Another guy says, not the a-hole. Plus tell your wife she's deluded and misinformed because $12,000 isn't going to cut it at the rate of inflation and the Birkin waiting list. You're looking at north of $15,000 maybe. It's actually tens of thousands of dollars on top of it. This is from a woman, by the way. Presuming she's never bought anything in her life from Hermes, she's never going to be able to buy a Birkin on the first go. Hermes looks at what you bought before, deciding if you're good enough for them to sell it to you. You need to spend in order to even qualify. If your wife likes purchasing Louis Vuitton bags, it's very likely she isn't on the level of Hermes. No offense, Louis Vuitton is an entry brand unless she's buying special collection items. Just like someone doesn't walk into Mordor, one does not simply walk into Hermes as a first-time buyer and successfully get a Birkin for $12,000. As someone who is a designer bag collector, I am first simply disgusted by your wife's selfishness to the household finances and meaning of a partnership, and second to her delusion. Well, there you go. You got a little lesson about Hermes handbags. Apparently, you can't just walk in and get one. Their business model is deliberately set up to make people feel they got to wait for it and all that, and therefore they're super high-end and special if they get one, which, of course, is what she wants because, like I said, they don't have friends, they have rivals. Another guy says, marriage is a partnership. If you see your significant other struggle, you do everything in your power to help. It speaks volumes of her feelings towards him as she chooses a handbag over him. Right. Believe me, if the situation was reversed, you bet your ass he would be doing everything he could to help her. And last, the guy says, original poster has taken a second job to make ends meet and sold a lot of his possessions, and she's got a damn savings account for a purse that she already has several of. I've lost it too. Yeah, he had every right to blow up at her. I mean, what the hell? But he was probably thinking, well, times are tough. Well, I want to keep the wife happy. Well, look what that has done. This guy needs to run the finances. If he owns his own business, I'm sure he's good at running the company money. I hope. So this guy should be running the family finances from now on. I would lay down the law and say, listen, I'm not the a-hole here, and you're going to march your butt back home, and you're going to put those bags up on eBay or wherever you sell them, and you're going to sell them off to match the $18,000 that I put in selling off my prize guitars to help the family. Okay? And if you got a problem with it, tough shit. End of story. And I'm getting my own account. And every month I'm going to show you a budget of all the expenses. And I expect half of the money for the mortgage, the electric bill, the food, whatever. End of story. But anyhow, guys, this is a perfect example of why it's so important. Like I said, if you're married, joint account only. Like I said many times, for the joint expenses, nothing more. And so guys, don't pour your money in the joint account because it could get pissed away just like here. And don't let her name on your credit card that she could rack shit up on just like that. It happens. I've done plenty of stories on that. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me think about this. For you married guys who are watching, and I know there are plenty of you watching, if you are so daring, comment below how things are run in your household. Do you have everything go on one joint account, or do you have your own account? She has her own account. I'd like to hear about it. Do you manage the funds, manage the money, the household budget, or does your wife? Or for you guys that have done that before and it was a very big mistake, let me know how it went, what you learned from it, what you're doing now. All these things will help guys out. They really do, because guys definitely read these comments and it helps them along the way. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.